Man,
of course, man.
I think this is the first. Is this the first?
I think we did one in January.
Did we do one in January?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we're just the pace of shows is like sporadic because it's just insane.
Yeah, life has been busy
There's
this year,
so much going on, and Cozza Law Firm is growing like.
Yeah.
I mean, is it even legal to grow as fast as you're growing?
I don't know, man. It's. I'm thankful for it. It's definitely overwhelming. We're figuring it out as we go, but we're having fun, man. That's all that matters. And the world is falling apart right now around us.
Yes, it is. Yes. Well, yeah. At least beyond our initial sphere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And this is why this show is fun. Because, because here's the thing. Every time we see somebody on the tube or even on, for the most part, the things that I see on YouTube are really not two guys, two citizens, just basically, say it for lack of a better phrase, two professionals in their careers sitting down and calmly talking for 30 minutes about what the hell they see. Who does that? It's always rant and spit, it's
always the people that are experts in something, or pretend to be. I don't know that we're experts in anything outside of our profession, but we have different opinions on things, and we like to just put it out there, and it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So, so very close to where we are in Pittsburgh, there is a town called East Palestine. I call it Palestine.
I think, yeah.
And it had a train derailment, but most of the country probably doesn't kind of know about it.
Yeah, the media coverage of it has been sparse, for lack of considering that, and I think there's like 3 other train derailments that spilled hazardous chemicals and a huge chemical fire this week, like a 5-acre fire in a factory in Florida, I think Kissimmee, Florida, I think it was. Like, that's a lot of shit happening that we're not really talking about. And like East Palestine is like a stone's throw. Actually, we're on our way to the radio show after this, which is literally like a stone's throw from fucking Beaver.
I'm a little nervous about that.
I'm not going to drink the water there. That's why I brought bottled water. Definitely not going to drink the water. Breathing the air, sure, but you don't know. Like, it's like, to me, like, what the fuck is happening? That's kind of how I look at it. Like, coincidence is one thing, but a lot of shit is like going on right now that just makes you say, huh? Like there was a movie that came out last year called White Noise that literally depicted what is happening in East Palestine.
Yes. A
train derailment in Ohio that leaked toxic chemicals into the air.
Right.
And it was filmed in Ohio with people from East Palestine as extras.
Right.
Like, are we in a fucking simulation or what? I don't know. Like, at this point in life, like, I don't know. Like, you don't know what to believe anymore.
Right. So are we being conditioned to accept anything?
I don't. Listen, man, I just look back on the past 2 weeks, like with all these things happening, and I think I just read that FEMA denied aid to Ohio.
I tried to dive into that yesterday and try to understand why they did, and there's some kind of convoluted answer that they needed. I mean, this is the answer they gave. Now, try to wrap your head around this one. The answer they gave was, well, the town really needs much more than we can provide.
We're providing billions of fucking dollars to Ukraine. It has, I mean,
that was the narrative.
Like, how, like, these are our people. This is our country. Like, America first. That should always be the policy.
That's not reality.
And that's what's so frustrating. Then I did see something. They kind of walked it back and said, well, we're re-examining the situation, which is kind of the politician's way of saying, oh, we fucked up and you caught us. We need to kind of, eat crow. Like, that's it. Like, this is bullshit. Like, when you think about, like, these, like, and they told people that, oh yeah, you can go back to your house now. Like, I don't think people should be going back anytime soon until they figure this shit out. And why all of a sudden? Like, I'm 45 years old. I don't remember we'll say from 25 to 45, right? My adult life where I remember, and I was a responsible adult, we'll say, I don't ever remember hearing about train derailments. And step further, train derailments that are carrying hazardous chemicals that leak or have to be burned off in 20 years. Now, all of a sudden, in a 2-week time period, we have 4 when it's an administration that wants to do an infrastructure plan and basically rebuild all of our infrastructure. So how do you rebuild infrastructure? You destroy infrastructure. Like, I don't know. Is that what's going on? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I think it is.
Fired up this Saturday morning, man.
But again, it's funny because I have been railing on this concept since 2020 that since the pandemic and since that, I have been paying close attention to everything that has come after, and we're living in a fucking cartoon. Like I just,
yeah.
I
You think?
I just don't understand how so much crazy out of the box stuff. Because I really believe, yes, with each year, Rocco, there's more and more media. I get it.
Sure. Yeah.
But there still was a hell of a lot of media from like 2013 to 2020.
Yeah. Yes.
And we didn't have all this insanity.
No.
We just didn't.
No.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like these derailments have kind of have my red flags up. Like I don't understand what's going on. Like I want to believe it's all coincidence.
That can happen anywhere. It could happen in Coriopolis. Trains go through Coriopolis, which is about a mile and a half, 2 miles from us.
But what I'm saying is like I want to believe it was purely coincidence that you have 4 of these things happen, all the while we're shooting down fucking balloons and everything else happening. Like, is this all coincidence happening? Like, is there something happening in the background that they don't want us to see? Like the Epstein stuff, like something with the monetary system. Like, I don't know, but I usually have a pretty good instinct with things. I like to think I'm a logical thinker. Something isn't adding up.
Right.
I mean, it's just not. Like I can't articulate what it is, and I wish I could, but something doesn't feel right. There's something going on in the background that is either, it's the sleight of hand thing. Like we talked about earlier this week. It's like, look over here while we do all this shit over here. Like we're all distracted by, we're not even talking about these derailments because we're distracted by fucking F-22 shooting down weather balloons.
Right.
Like, I don't know they're aliens. I don't think we're being attacked by aliens.
No, I think it's actually embarrassing. Is how we'll never probably know the truth.
No.
My guess is that the first one was Chinese.
Yeah,
it wandered over here, or maybe it was intentional. And the other things we've shot down are embarrassing probably for the administration, especially because they missed on one shot, a $400,000 missile went awry.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a knock on the military. It's just that, the administration has to own everything.
Yes.
That's what administrations have to do.
Correct. They're still blaming Trump for stuff.
Of course they are. Well, that's my point. It's like, I think these other dirigibles, I love that word.
This is your new word.
That's my new word. Take that in the radio show after we're done filming here.
Yes, I don't know
but ultimately, I think that they're going to find out that some were a science project. One was an atmospheric weather club. I think it's just things that are just in low altitude up there.
However, I did see they just I think this is legit. I didn't fact check it, but I read a news article where they said, I think it was yesterday or the day before, a couple of days ago, they intercepted 2 Russian jets by Alaska in American airspace. It's like they're
I think it happened more than that. Was like 3 within 1 week. I think there was 2 incidences.
Yeah, so it's like, are they just fucking with our administration because we look weak
because
right
we're
now?
weak.
Like that's what I think's happening, and
the
not
world
taking.
Perception.
And again, like I don't like to because whoever our president, I want to succeed. Right?
Of course,
it's America. Like I want this country. We want to be the strongest country, but I can't imagine the shit that's happening under Trump.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. All personality aside, looking at it purely as if what would be happening if the president was different.
Yeah.
I can't imagine America being bullied on the world stage. Now, I'm not saying that his style is always the best either, but I can't imagine us being bullied. I can't imagine that.
The best internet thing I've seen in probably the past year was in like the past week or week and a half. They were talking about the Chinese balloon, right? And they said if Trump was in office, this is what would happen. And they showed China, like people walking on the streets. Then you saw a big balloon of Trump, like a parade balloon, like flying over China and then just shooting missiles down. And it's it's like something so audacious that he would do. But we're showing this like we just look like a weak administration.
Yeah,
and we're fractured as a country, and like all these things are happening. Like we're falling apart from within. And us, the regular people, like we all get along pretty well until we're told not to, until we're told this group hates you or this group is this. And it's like, I feel like when you get people in the room, we all get along pretty well.
So do I.
Right? Like I don't have any problem with anybody, like whatever you choose to be or believe in, like that's your choice. It's not my right to tell you to believe otherwise.
100%.
I can have legitimate discussion, but the problem is we have this media telling us if they don't think like you, they are evil people. And it's like, we're not. We just have differing opinions. And we have gotten to this point in America, we believe everything the fucking media says.
Yeah.
Like, look at the CDC. Just came out, a week ago? Said, oh, by the way, all these studies across the world were done. Masks don't work for shit. Okay? And that was such a topic of contention.
It was a mandate they gave us.
A mandate, but it caused fractures in relationships because people were like took a hard stance. Like, if you don't wear a mask, you're a fucking murderer. And like, the people that took that hard stance,
they're still wearing them in hospitals.
Well,
still.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and like, those people like aren't going and apologizing.
Of course not.
Because it's like, but they look like they have egg on their face now.
Of course.
And it's just like, and that's my problem. Like, I feel like through the whole pandemic, logical thinkers made their decisions based upon their own health, their own well-being, their own lifestyle. I did. Right? I made my own choices. I believed in certain things. I followed certain things. Other things, I couldn't logically wrap my brain around it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to live my way. And now we're realizing that all this shit they were telling us to do didn't fucking work.
Well, what's the next thing they're going to walk back?
We know what it's going to be. You know what it's going to be.
What's the next thing going to be? They're going to walk back as being ineffective and potentially, maybe kind of somewhat, maybe dangerous.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. I'm guessing.
Well, have you seen the TV commercials about it? I think it was during the Super Bowl there was one. It was like, hey, if you got to get your next 50th booster shot. Like, it's still out there, and you can get, you could get really sick. And if you've had it and had your boosters, you should definitely get boosted again.
They want kids to get it.
Yeah, and it's like
little kids, young kids.
And my thing is, like, most people I know that have gotten really sick are people that have vaccinated.
Yeah.
Like really, it's interesting because again, like, I made my own decision. My family made our own decision based upon our health and talking to doctors that I know. But I know people that have been vaccinated, like, they haven't been right. Like, there's just something off.
Hello. yeah. I mean, I'm living walking proof of that. I went in for my first one, and I was on top of the world. Haven't been right since. I mean, it's I'm functional. Yeah. And I'm okay, but not okay.
And I've heard that from a lot of people, and not to take anything away from it. It's like, everybody made their own choice, and that's fine. Like, whatever. Like, it's some people.
It's America. It's been
exactly. It's been effective for them. They've had no problems. But I've spoken to a lot of people that said they've never felt right since.
Yep, that's exactly what that's my mantra.
Yeah.
That's my mantra. Anyways.
Yeah, we got off topic.
No, it's not on top. There is no off topic here at all. Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's ultimately going to be walked back at some point too. What's the word? What's the
efficacy?
Efficacy. It's a big word here. Yeah. Efficacy. If that will be walked back.
It was being walked back the whole time they were doing it. It's like, oh, we're 99 effective. Now it's 80% effective.
There's a pill now, isn't there?
I don't know, dude. I've put COVID so far out of my mind.
Yeah,
I don't even think about it
anymore.
anymore.
Most people want to. There's a portion of our society that won't let that happen. A smaller portion, I think.
I just think
a loud portion.
If you're healthy, if you live a well lifestyle, like, I work out, I try and eat right, I take vitamins, I get out in the sun, I do the right things, and I think that's why I don't worry about it so much. Yeah, you can get sick, obviously, but anytime I've gotten sick, even when I had it, 2 days, I was fine. Like, I had a fever, and I lost my taste for a couple of days, but I was fine. Like, it didn't impact me at all.
Yeah, wasn't sick at all until I got it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just
odd, very odd.
This world is interesting, man.
So the East Palestine thing, hopefully that's going to sort itself out.
I feel for those people, man. Like, can you imagine being evacuated from their home?
No, I cannot.
Like, you can't go back. Like, that would be the worst thing imaginable.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like being in an earthquake zone or having your house burned down. Really, I mean, really, you can't go. You have a house, but you can't go there. You can't use it.
Right, exactly. Like, how? Like, I can't. Like, I feel for those people. Like, my heart goes out to them.
And how is that? How is a train derailment and a chemical spill with a mushroom cloud of vinyl chloride not qualified for FEMA, for federal assistance?
That's what
on the premise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's some, like, nuance in the law, but it's like, I feel like if there's a mushroom cloud over a city in Ohio, that's what I would call, in layman's terms, a fucking disaster. Like, a federal emergency. We may want to help. Like, we've sent billions upon billions of dollars to foreign countries.
Let's talk about the one we've been doing it the most to, and that is Ukraine.
Yeah, like, I don't even know what the fuck's going on there anymore, honestly. Like, when is this going to end? Why are we still doing this? Like, I don't get it.
Do you know, if you want to go down the rabbit hole, the industry that really is going to benefit from this is the munitions industry, the armament industry.
Well, defense contractors, I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean,
all over the world.
I mean, that's what war is a business when you think about it.
There really hasn't been one in a big way, in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you think about it. Like, there hasn't been.
All of these NATO countries are going to be building up their armaments, and we're going to have to obviously restock what we have given away.
Yeah,
it's just interesting.
I mean, there's a lot of things that you could deduce from what's going on, but then when you do it, you're called a conspiracy theorist.
Yes,
because everybody wants to believe things on its face. Like, no one wants to do that next level digging, and really trying to think through what is going on. There's, in my mind, when it comes to politics and political situations, there's always an ulterior motive. We never know the real story. We're never told the real story. Most people just don't want to think about it. It's like, I don't even want to worry about it, which is fine. Like, they just choose to live a different way. To me, I'm not a skeptic, but I'm a logical person, and it's got to make logical sense to me. And a lot of things right now just don't.
Yeah, it's being an ocean away from all of it. Just purely from a selfish standpoint, as an American citizen, we're an ocean away. And I understand in this world, in this geopolitical world of the nuclear armament, that doesn't mean much. But in terms of conventional warfare, an ocean's a big divider.
Absolutely,
and we are really entrenched in a war on the other side of the globe, pretty much.
Yeah,
and it's and really the argument can be made that it might simply be a war of proxy. Is it really a war of Russia versus the West, and Ukraine's battlefield is it's a proxy war? I hate to say that. It appears like their war is not with Ukraine; it's kind of with us.
Yeah,
it isn't stated, but it's indirect. It's like Russia's kind of fighting the West.
Yeah, partially. I also think the protection of Ukraine is to cover up a lot of stuff. I do think there's something there. I think there's a lot of stuff we're not even talking about.
Too hard.
We're going at it really hard, and there's been a lot of things that went on in the past with Ukraine and the companies in Ukraine, and I think there's been a lot of inappropriate and improper things that went through that country from the U.S.
Wasn't rated as one of the worst, most corrupt?
Oh yeah, I mean,
countries. Period.
Yes. So
more than Russia.
And so I think there's a lot of people, covering their ass. So, in support of Ukraine. Not saying that that this war is contrived, but I think there is a level of, we went way too hard on this.
Yeah.
For what? Like, you typically don't see us doing that. Like,
no.
How does Ukraine play into our geopolitical landscape? I'm not real sure.
I'm not either. I'm not sure as well what. I don't know really how NATO benefits the United States citizen. I mean, that's a whole other slippery slope, but it really makes me wonder a bit in regards to because in the end, it's our look. There's other countries involved, but generally, because of our wealth and we're the 800-pound gorilla in the conversation.
Yeah.
Most resources and most technical expertise is more than likely coming from us.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I don't know. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not a NATO scholar. Like, I don't understand it well enough, and now it makes me want to look into it a little bit more. So maybe on the next show we can have a discussion about NATO a little bit.
Yeah,
because I need to get more educated on it, to be honest with you.
Okay, so right turn. So President Biden just had his. His checkup, and I understood there wasn't his annual checkup because last year, did you know, he didn't have an annual checkup?
I did not know this.
I didn't know that was permissible by our laws. I thought he had to have one once a year.
Did not know this.
Yes, this is
news to me.
His first in 2 years. His first probably since he got in office.
Okay.
Or maybe right after he got in office.
Okay.
Right right before, I don't know. And he got a clean bill of health, a very vibrant report from his doctor.
Sure.
Except there was no mention of mental fitness.
Okay.
It was simply physical.
Interesting.
Now, anyone that watches the man walk knows there's a gait problem. For those familiar with your walking gait. And there's just a level of timidity and uncertainty in his footing as he walks across the grass at the White House.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
His wife has to kind of hold him to the helicopter.
Yeah.
They don't walk independent of each other.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's a good observation.
Little tells.
Yeah, it's a really good observation.
But I don't think it's a tough one to figure out just on brief observation. But yet we've got a good portion of the population that is absolutely okay and has no question. Now, there might be some questions starting to come from his own party and his own folks that have his philosophy. But as it is right now, he's still completely engaged and vibrant. But
here's the thing, and here's the piece they leave out. Okay, this is just me deducing this.
Of course,
he's healthy and vibrant for an 82-year-old man. Like, you have to think about it. Like what is the frame, right? They're not saying he's healthy and as vibrant as a 50-year-old man. He's saying, so if you're 82, if you're an 82-year-old, or however, if he's 81 or 82, I can't remember.
82?
He's in his 80s.
Yeah, he's 82, I think.
Okay, but
I could be wrong. Could be wrong.
I feel like if you're functioning at the way he is, you're vibrant for 82.
No doubt.
But are you vibrant and healthy enough to run the country? That's a different standard in my mind. That is truly a different standard. And I think, yes, a doctor can legitimately give him a clean bill of health, right? Think about parents, right? As our parents get older, right? They can go to the doctor and they can say, yeah, you have a clean bill of health, but they've deteriorated in health over time because they're taking it in the frame of that age group. So, okay, if you are in your 80s, what is a clean bill of health and a vibrant 80-year-old supposed to look like? Okay, they can walk without help. They can do these things. Their heart rate's here. Their blood pressure's here. They didn't talk about anything cognitively, right? So that's off the table. But from a physical perspective, sure, I would say, okay, looking at him walk, okay, he may need a little bit of help. But yeah, if I'm judging him against the standard of other 82-year-olds, yeah, I'd say absolutely he's fucking vibrant. The dude's got his shit together for an 82-year-old.
I would agree. Well, he
for
has
an 82-year-old, right? Do you want an 82-year-old that is cognitively declined running the country? That's a different question, and that's one they're not talking about.
So it's when you look at a speech or when you watch him act at a podium or off the cuff, anyone that really pays attention, can see.
100%,
right?
yes.
Okay, so that whole narrative of that's our leader, the man in charge of the free world, there he is talking. It's almost like it's to me, it fits in with everything else. It's almost like a parallel reality because so many things are coming so fast, and maybe to your conversation of inputs coming to all of us so quickly. Weird, odd, crazy things where extremes don't hit us hard anymore because everything's an extreme almost. But it's almost like we are being either conditioned or we've already gotten there. We're okay to accept that is the best and that's going to work. That we've got a guy that's feeble. I'll use the word feeble, mentally or physically. But we're okay to accept that because all this other craziness is going on. Because I don't accept that. When I see him, and the first thing I do is I feel bad. I also realize that that's not the Joe Biden I remember. He's a moderate, number one. He's completely different. I don't know. I don't think he even... They talked about Trump having no soul, right? Bush had no soul. It's easy for that, the left to say the right never has any soul. I don't think that man's got a soul because what he is... expounding in his particular administration's platform is very different than his voting record for decades in the Senate.
Correct.
That, to me, constitutes a soulless person.
Yeah, I agree.
I would think.
Bought and sold.
Yeah, very much so. So, but we're supposed to just accept that that's okay, and that's the new reality in 2023. And that's where I think that something, and I'll go back to the pandemic. The world was kind of nuts. Even when Trump first got elected, it was starting to get pretty crazy, but nothing really insane. You had a president that was very caustic, But then a worldwide pandemic came, and then a series of events after that, up until today, has been gonzo.
Yeah.
Absolute gonzo.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's no way these crazy, extreme, almost borderline bizarre events all happening in such a small period of time.
Yeah.
And don't tell me we didn't have great camera work and great reporting work, 5-7 years ago. We did.
Yes, absolutely.
It wasn't happening at that pace then.
No. And this is why Biden got elected. If you ever, I think we might have talked about it like months ago, but that Schultz Saves America, that special on Netflix. He's a comedian, and he talked about like the pandemic and everything that went on. And he said something I thought really insightful. He says, he described why Trump got elected. He said Trump got elected because he spoke to middle America, the people that were forgotten about.
Right.
The white male, the middle American. And then we went through this, and Trump was this excitable, like off the wall, like outspoken, like you say, caustic, this individual, and it was fun at first. And then when
it was different.
It was different, right? And he's like going to drain the swamp, and people were buying into it. Then the world went to shit. And it's like there's so much uncertainty.
The swamp fought back.
Well, call it what it is. And he made the really good point. I'm like, yeah, that makes complete fucking sense to me. People voted for Biden, one, because they hated Trump, two, because they wanted something safe. The old grandpa that will make everything okay, because everything else in the world is uncertain. We at least know with Biden what we're getting. Like, it was a certainty with him.
It's a great point.
I'm like, that made complete sense. I'm like, yeah, like because he was like I remember Biden, like he was a moderate. You kind of knew what you were getting with him. Like I never hated the man. I never thought he'd be president. I never thought he'd be president. I thought he'd always be a career politician. I always thought
he was a hatchet man. He was like a Democratic hatchet man.
Yeah.
Bob Dole was a Republican hatchet man. That's kind of what I thought.
But you knew what you were getting. I think that's why people went, because like I have friends of mine that purely voted for Biden out of hatred for Trump. Which, if that's how you want to vote, that's your right. That's your right as an American. I don't necessarily agree with it, because I think you got to look at the policies that come with the person. Like you can't, like in my mind, the president is not a popularity contest. Right. It's not a personality contest. It's a policy contest. Like that's really what it boils down to, because love him or hate him, he put good policies in place. Like inflation was down, interest rates were down.
That's a good policy, a policy that works.
Correct. And now we have someone that, maybe he's not as toxic as Trump was, but inflation's through the roof, interest rates through the roof, gas is through the roof, like everything costs more. Like, and people have just accepted it. But I think we're seeing some level of awakening. Like I'm noticing it with people that were super anti-Trump and super anti anything to do with Trump or the right, and they're realizing, I may have fucked up. Like, I don't like this right now. Like, I'm paying more for everything. My wages aren't increasing at the pace of everything else. And we were given all these promises, and they haven't been delivered on yet, and it's been 2 years.
This last election, was it disappointing for the right because there hasn't been enough time yet for the real effects of Biden's moves with this and the resulting inflation to impact too deeply on the public? The election just happened a little bit too soon.
That, and they were terrible on messaging. The abortion issue is what kind of got them. They were just terrible on messaging. The Democrats used that to their advantage. They played it very smart.
Okay, so let me ask you about this one.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem unbelievable to you that just, I don't know, a couple months before the primary election, out of the blue, the Supreme Court makes the ruling and announces the upcoming ruling. Yeah. The timing of it.
The timing is always suspicious in everything that happens in government. Let's just be honest. I mean, it really is.
But that's the Supreme Court. They should not be part of any of that.
No, but it was on the docket, right? And the Supreme Court decides cases based upon a schedule. So it just happened to be the timing of it, right? It always seems suspicious, but with the Supreme Court, they decide, they put out their list of cases they're gonna hear, or they're gonna consider in their conferences, or consider via oral arguments, and that just happened to be a case that was on the docket for a while. They got decided. I mean, it was. I mean,
I believe you.
It's the legal system, but again, the whole point of that is, and where people get caught up in it is, it's not. No one's taking away rights. right? It's just allowing the states to decide.
Which is how we were set up as a country to begin with.
Right. It's not the federal government's job to decide reproductive rights. Like that, the federal government is instituted to regulate interstate commerce and for the national defense. Reproductive rights doesn't have to do with, in my opinion, interstate commerce. Maybe you can make a very stretch argument, and it has nothing to do with national defense. But the government has used the Commerce Clause of the Constitution to regulate almost everything. This is one time the court said it's not for the government to decide. It's for each state to decide. So if someone chooses that, they can go to a state where it's legal.
Right.
Like no one's taking away the rights. Each state may take away the right. And that's something that's different. And people,
well, that's up to the electorate of the state.
Right. And the Republicans failed to articulate it well. And the Democrats just hinged on that they took away your rights.
Of course.
And people did not want to examine it further. Like I've had people that I went to law school with that were like super far left. And I remember seeing posts that they were putting on Facebook. I'm like, you are not stating the law correctly. You are just, you are gaslighting this whole thing. And it was very frustrating because that's what we do. We pick these issues and we gaslight segments of the population to get what we want done. Instead of actually talking about what's actually happening, let's actually talk about the case. Let's actually talk about all these things that are happening so we can see, is there a problem and how do we solve it as a country to make the country better?
And I think you are spot on, but I also believe that we are never going to have that. As a matter of fact, I think because we're dumbing down our communication with each other and becoming more simplistic, I just think it's going to continue to that ability to think logically and converse with each other on topics is going to get worse and worse. That's a pessimistic view of it, but I don't see that.
It's our job to make sure the next generation coming up understands this. Like it is our job.
Absolutely. Is it happening?
I mean, I'm trying to do what I can. Like for my kids, like teach them that if you want to do well in this world and be a good human being, you have to learn how to solve problems and think critically.
Right.
Like everything boils down to, and I had this discussion this week with someone. I said everything in any profession, the most successful people, all they do really well is solve problems. You don't have to be an expert. I don't have to be an expert in the law, right? I need to know how to identify the issue and solve the problem. That's what makes me successful. Any profession the same way. So we have to teach our kids to learn to critically think and to question things. Like don't take things at face value if it doesn't feel right. There may be things that, that feels right to me. And I may believe it, but still question it.
Certainly.
Like to make sure you understand how you got to that conclusion. Like I want my kids to question me. Like there are certain times it drives me crazy because I'm like, I'm your dad, just fucking listen. I don't have an answer, But I like the fact that they do question me and they do question Laura because it's really, to me it shows the parenting we're trying to do. It's getting them to, if they can't make sense of it in their head, they want to understand why we're telling them to do something.
Certainly.
And that's a skill they have to transfer into life. And I think there was a gap of parenting that lost sight of that. And so we have these people that are kind of in this, younger generation that aren't questioning because they were just told, you're the best, everything's great. You just, whatever you want to do, you can do. It's like, no, not how the world works. Totally not. Like question things. Like learn to critically think. And I do have hope for the future. I'm an optimist. You're the pessimist. I'm the optimist.
I'm not a pessimist.
You're a skeptic. You're a skeptic.
I'm trying to be better.
No,
I'm working on myself.
I agree. But I think if we can teach kids that in schools, like that's an important thing that we lost. Like the school system's not doing a good job of it, I don't think. I think there are amazing teachers that really try. I think there are other ones that maybe don't care as much. I think the system is broken, and I think teachers should be paid more to really incentivize them to, there's just so much wrong with the education system. Like I see
teachers in my opinion, there's no profession that should not be graded themselves and operate under a merit-based system. We don't have that in public teachers,
right?
For the most part,
you're right. And teachers, like that's the hardest job. I can't imagine. Like I student taught for 1 month when I was in college. I'm like, fuck this.
Those kids took you out.
I mean, I was a sophomore, or junior in college, and then I was teaching seniors in high school. So we were like close in age, and like one girl had a crush on me and came to college to look for me. I'm like, this is weird.
That's not good.
But it was kind of like I can't do this. Like you have to have patience and like I know teachers. I'm like that is the hardest job in the world. Outside of like being a first responder, like I feel very fortunate. What I do is easy. Like I don't have to deal with like emergencies and death and, injury, and then, kids' emotions. Like, I can't imagine that. And, we need to look at the education system and see how is it broken? How do we fix it? Like, how do we pay teachers more, incentivize them to really push the envelope with kids and get them to think critically, because that's the future of this country.
No doubt about it. Right turn?
Yeah.
Don Lemon.
Yeah.
Did you really passing glance find out what happened? Are you aware of what happened?
No, I fucking hate that dude.
Yeah. Well, you're going to hate him even more when I tell you this. So apparently Don Lemon made a comment 2 or 3 days ago. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, in talking about Nikki Haley when she announced her run, the former South Carolina governor, for presidency, he basically said that it was a bad move. She's not the answer, and she's no longer in her prime. And when his co-host, who happened to be female, inquired on air, he further walked into it by stating, well, you look it up, women are in their prime 20s and 30s and maybe the 40s, but she's well past her prime. Now, I believe that the guy's got to be somewhat bright enough to probably had a different point he probably was trying to make. Maybe. But he didn't. And there has been a shitstorm since then, from justifiably so.
Yeah.
All angles.
Good.
Where the shitstorm has not come, which you would think based upon today's uber-sensitive woke world,
yes,
is from CNN.
Of course.
They are not going to punish their own outside of, a public reprimand or whatever. But it's the ultimate hypocrisy when it comes to our social landscape.
Exactly right. That is the ultimate hypocrisy.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, I think there's a Poppy Harlow or Poppy someone who's one of the co-hosts there. I don't watch the morning show. I definitely don't watch on CNN. But she walked off camera. I mean, it was a thing. And there are a lot of...
How do you say that?
Well, I want to get your thoughts on that. There's a lot of people from the moderates and the left who are big CNN subscribers and users who are absolutely disgusted, as they should be. Naturally, those who don't like Don Lemon, now he's become an easy target too. I get that. But anyone who hears that, of any age, old enough to know better, hopefully that's 13, 14, 15-year-olds and up, know that that is not only an insane comment, an inflammatory comment to make, but on its premise is so wrong.
Oh my God, yeah. Completely wrong.
As a statement on humans.
Yes, like each person comes into their prime at their own time. There's no standard. And look, I mean, in my mind, women are amazing creatures. They can do things we cannot do. Like the mental stability they have, the patience they have. Like they I admire so many women because they just have skill sets that I will never have. And it's to say someone reached a prime, like I think, and this is anybody. Like, if you're continually work on yourself, you never reach your prime.
Exactly.
You're constantly striving to be better, and that's what he should have said. Because there are amazing women out there, from 20-year-olds to 80-year-olds, and everything in between.
I think the context might have even been talking about leading up to that conversation. I think they were talking about Biden and his age. So that if that was really what the narrative was before he got to that part of the conversation, she's, I think, mid-50s. Yeah. I mean, on that argument alone, she's 30. She's 30-ish years younger than him.
Exactly. Like, and again, like you cannot stereotype that. Like,
sexism, right?
Yeah. I mean, and
it's just study those acronyms and words and things.
Yeah, and to me, it's like that is just a wrong. I mean, look, people make comments about like looks between men and women, and we reach maturity at different levels. We reach the height of our looks at different levels, but prime is a different definition in my mind. That is like you become who you're supposed to be. Like, when you reach your prime, which I don't think, if you're truly striving to be better, like, I'll never reach my prime because my prime's a moving target.
Right.
Right. And that is just a foolish and uneducated statement that he made.
Yes. One that looks like it's probably going to go unpunished and glossed over.
And that's what pisses me off, because if that was someone on Fox, Like, let's just call it like it is. If that was someone on Fox, there would be every group in the world trying to burn that person down to the ground.
100%, and including their Fox's own.
Yes.
And it's and I don't understand how we are so blatant on this one fact. If someone commits something atrocious, if they're on our own line of thinking, if they share our own philosophy overall, we shouldn't give them a pass.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But it seems like the outrage culture kind of does that.
Yeah.
My observations.
No, you're 100% correct. I completely agree with that.
It's like, do as I say, but don't look too close.
That's exactly right. And to make a statement like that is just, especially in the world we live in today, like, we need more kindness and empathy in the world. We need to lift one another up. Like, we need more of that. We need people out there saying that women are amazing. Like, I want my daughters to grow up and know they can be the fucking president when they're 20. Well, not 20. There's a law for that. But if they're 50, 67, like, they can do whatever they want as long as they're willing to put in the work and learn the skills needed to acquire. I don't want my daughters to think they can just go out in the world and they're going to hand them shit. Yeah. Like, you can have what you want if you're willing to work for it and pay the price for it.
Right.
But to me, I'm raising two daughters, which they're two of the most amazing little girls in the world, and I could never. Like, if someone ever said something about them reaching their prime, like, no fucking way. Like, women truly are amazing creatures. Like, I truly, like, look at women that, that have done things, and the way they handle themselves, they have something that men don't, and we don't talk about it enough. And I think it's something that people need to understand and cherish, and that, one, the femininity of it, but two, just the compassion and the composure they hold in certain situations. Man, we fly off the fucking handle. Like,
you don't say.
Yeah, I mean, we don't keep our composure as well as they do, and it's like I'm amazed by how much they handle. Like, even people that I work with, like take someone like Mia in my office. Like, she has 3 kids. Her husband's a a detective. Like, she has twins. Like, she manages all that, and then comes in and manages the office. Like, how do you fucking do all this stuff? Like, I don't know.
They should be running more of the world.
I agree, and we don't give them enough credit. And I think that people deserve, especially women, deserve a lot more credit than they get in this world. I truly believe that. He is a pompous, pretentious ass. Like, I've never found a redeeming quality about that man, because there are a lot of people on CNN that I like, right? But he's always been this guy, well, like, I'm just smarter than all of you. What I say is right, and fuck you if you don't believe me. Yeah. Like, he just has this air of pretension about him, which just has always put me off.
Yeah. CNN has a couple very annoying. Well, so does Fox, but CNN's got some annoying. I lump him in very much with that Joy Reid. There's a very pompous
that Brian Stelter or whatever his name is.
I think he's gone. I don't think he's in front of the camera. You know what? I think before we wrap up, I think I just heard on a Rogan show with somebody that I think he landed as an executive on the World Trade Council or World Trade Forum. So when they have those every year or 4 years whenever they meet, he's
the World Economic Forum?
Yes, the World Economic Forum. Okay. He's some kind of a high administrator there. That's where he landed.
Oh my God.
Just so you know,
that dude,
he's in his element with the greenies, and
every time I look at that dude, when people, the first time I heard someone call him Humpty Dumpty, like, I couldn't get out of my head.
I just can't imagine he got as far as he did in the industry.
No, he was just an asshole. He was just an asshole. That's all he was.
Yeah. All right, friends. That wraps up the latest edition of How We See It. Rocco Cozza, I'm Eric McKenna. We will return very soon with more fun and games. Thank you.
See ya.
We're out.